Hey, everybody. So happy, I don't even know the day of the week. Hold on one second. Oh, it's Thursday. Okay. So I'm just going to give a minute for a couple people to see, I'm here, and then they can, oh, great. Thank you. Thank you. I'll let you know. Hi, Jamie. Just kind of saying hi. Perry Owen. Hi, Terry. IJ Baby, good to see you. AJ, I want to say it's A. Hey, Babies is one. Would you be able to, oh wait, here we go. Thank you. Spiritual Solace with Kara Maya is here. Hi, honey. Awesome. I wanted to go on and just jump on tonight. I know I say a short one and then it's like 8 hours later. But I wanted to have this conversation because I just finished a video that's going to be up tomorrow at noon. I think it's uploading. Hi, Jessica. I'll say hi in a second. Tomorrow at noon is my first video on the Frazee case. And I wanted to say to all of you that it's not that I'm over Chris Watts, it's that I'm really feeling like the ongoing energy of Shanann's voice is great, and I feel it's fulfilled us, and at least it's filled me, let me put it that way. So I feel like our next steps are finding our own voice. And if you will, indulge me as I say that, I think that Carolyn Page, she just said, I love this. I was bored and thinking, what should I do? Boom, and you came here. Great to see you. So what I'm thinking of tonight is that, I'd like to start doing more around finding our voice. And for me, finding my voice in a certain way means being who I am, and being true with who we are, and not trying to hide it, even if it's something that's not pretty to everybody. And that's a really interesting thing, because I realized that, excuse me, because I yawn. When I'm reading, I yawn. And I want to share with you all tonight the story of the Chakra Wisdom cards, because it has a lot to do with finding my voice. And a lot to do with what I feel that Shanann Watts has taught me. And there was something that happened in one of her videos that she did. I don't know if you remember it, but she was talking about the haters, right? And she was saying that you just have to do what you need to do in this life. You need to do what you need to do. And I think, for me, and I don't know if you all know the story, but, and this all is related to finding your voice. I've always loved cards. And when I was, from the time I was about 5, my mother told me that I had no command of the language and that she had to write my school papers for me. So she would write my papers and I would turn them in and she would get an A and everybody was happy. But you see, if I didn't take down word for word dictation, she would go into upset. Now, and at this point, it's kind of like, I'm not, it's so far past. It's not like I'm angry at my mom. It's not like that. I'm just telling the facts, right? Just the facts. So I remember when she died, I was 15, and my mother died of acute alcoholism. And when she died, what came to me very strongly was that I did not know how to write. I wasn't allowed to write. I never had, and I could write, and I could read, but I wasn't very good. And so I thought I was terrible, and I worked 20 times more than anybody else, harder than anybody else to be a writer. And in the mid-'80s, I had a near-death experience. And when I came back, I had what I would call angels speaking to me. And I say angels because a lot of people talk about the darkness and the light. And the truth is that for me, I've always had a very strong faith, my own faith, and I believe in God. And I'm just telling you all this. But what happened was these angels came and told me what I thought were these like silly stories. And so I was really ashamed of actually putting them out there. And so like literally they were, these spirits wouldn't go away till I wrote them down, and then I shoved them in drawers. Okay, they were just sitting in drawers. And years went by, right? And I'd actually moved to the West Coast from New York City. I lived in Los Angeles for many years. And one day somebody came over, a friend of mine, and I told some of this story already, but basically in another video. So you're going to get bits of me in different videos. I think that's the beauty of life, is we don't actually have a story of somebody from birth to death in a sense. We only read those in biographies. We actually learn people from who they are to us. You know, it's not that you're watching me, you're watching what I inspire in you. That's the only thing that comes back. That's the only reason you would even be here. Don't take that the wrong way, because for me, like when I watch Joe Kenda, I love watching him because it's kind of like, ooh, I feel like I'm on the shoulder of someone who knows what's going on behind the scenes. So back to this. So after my near-death experience and the angels came to tell me these stories, years later, my friend came to me and he accidentally read one of the fables, and he said, this is amazing. His life changed after he read one of these fables. Now there were 49 fables. And basically, I started a mastermind group. And for y'all know what mastermind is? Yeah, I love Kenda. Okay, so a mastermind basically is 2 or more are gathered, is the basic idea. When 2 or more are gathered, we become a mastermind of consciousness that we all come together in a very holy way, in a way, because we are there for our highest good. So I started this mastermind with other creatives, you know, writer, blah, blah, blah. Everybody in the group went on to do great things. One won an Academy Award. It was really an amazing group at the time. And during that group, we developed the workbook, which I have around here somewhere, for the Chakra Wisdom Oracle. When I had all the fables together, I looked for somebody who could draw them. And in those days, guys, it was like early 2000, late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, the internet was kind of like baby crawling. And so I found an artist on the internet. I contacted her. I said, hey, can you draw this? And I sent her, in those days, the manuscript, right? And what happened was she messaged me back and she said, I can draw this, but it's going to take a year. And I said, well, I don't care. I've been with it for 15 years at this point, so who cares? And so every week I would get a little picture in my inbox, and it would just be an image of one of the cards. And she was just guessing from the cards what kind of picture she would put together. And what happened was a year, finishes out, and she messaged me. The only time we ever talked was right before it got published, and she messaged me and said, "You know what, Tori? I think there's another card." And I said to her, "You know what? I can feel an angel, like I can feel positive vibes, but I can't feel another another." What do you call it? Another fable or something. Well, I took it around. Nobody would publish it. People said this makes no sense at all. The voice of it is not consistent, and it couldn't have been consistent because they were all different voices, right? So now to notice tonight, I'm talking about finding our voice. But the voices I knew were important. I had a sense that there was something really important, particularly around my future, and I didn't know what it was. So nobody would publish it. So I took every penny I owned and I took it to China and I self-published it. And then when I got back, and you can imagine, I want to tell you 10,000 copies. Do you know that my entire front lawn, my entire driveway, and my neighbor's lawn was covered in decks, in boxes of decks, because I didn't know how many 10,000 were. I found out it's actually a good-sized Barnes & Noble store later. So after I dropped to my knees crying, okay, I figured while I'm down here, I'll pray. And I just said, please, God, show me what to do. And it was one of those, I just heard get storage, you know. So once I got the storage, then I found out I couldn't sell it on Amazon because it gets stranger. I could not sell these on Amazon because Amazon was going to charge me so much that I would actually lose $1 on every deck. So now you can imagine my life savings, it was $100,000. So I spent $95,000. I've got $5,000 left. I've got this warehouse of boxes and I'm like, what do I do now? And I just really went inside, and you know, when time, you know, it really was one of those, I just got inside and I prayed and I said, what do I do? What do I do? And something said, I just heard this voice that said, give it away. And I was like, what? And then I got an idea. I had a couple grand left and I said, all right, I'll just put it up online. I'll create a free shuffler for it so people could jump on and try them. Well, I had no idea, you guys, if they were going to work or not. I had no idea what there was anything in, you know, I didn't know that there was anything there is what I'm saying. So what I just knew that it was important, and I can't say why, but I just, you know, when you have that inner knowing. Anyway, I put it up, I had the shuffler, and it was 6 months to the day I got it up online from the time I had last spoken to Gretchen, the artist. Right? Remember, she had said, I feel like there's another card. And I said, I don't feel another card, but I do feel an angel, you know? And I want you to know 6 months the day of publishing it, Gretchen, the artist, died. And there was that moment. She was only 41. And there was that moment that this was her opus for us. That, and I'm getting truth bumps as I say this to you. This was her gift to all of us. This was something that she handed down, just like Shanann handed us stuff. You know, when people hand us things, we can either soar because they lived or sink into doom because they died. And I think that it's a tough, you know, it's a tough journey at times. And anyway, what I want to say about that is I then went on to sell all 10,000 copies within the next 2.5, 3 years off my website. Then I woke up and I went, I can't possibly, these hands cannot ship another box. And something said, go to London. London? Why? Something said, go to London. And I looked up and there was a London book fair. And everybody said to me, but you're not going to be able to sell it in London. I said, well, nobody in America bought it. So, you know, none of the publishers. So maybe somebody in London will buy it. People said, they don't buy that in London. That's foreign rights. And I go, it's perfect. I'm foreign. It'll be perfect. Sure enough, I went. I met my agent. I met several publishers. I had offers on the deck. And I went with Watkins Publishing, the oldest mind, body, spirit publisher in the world. And what was really interesting about it was that within the day of it coming out, it became a bestseller. And what it said to me was that no matter how difficult it is, it was extremely important for me, and I know it's important for you. Our voice matters. That's why I keep saying to all of you, your voice matters, who you are matters. And this is for me, like, then I started realizing, because I train people how to use their intuition, how to teach, you know, how to read cards. And I quite accidentally, in January, came on YouTube here, right? And because I just got so angry about the Watts case. And I did my first video. And you watched it. And people watched it. And they came. They came, right? If you build it, they will come. And I realized that, you see, the journey I've been on, my cards, when I was little, you know, I wasn't allowed to write in my family because my mother had the words. You see, she was the writer. So all I had when I was little was cards. And I would look at a card and I would make up a story. And I realized that was my connection to cards. And they're just a picture. It's just a picture. It doesn't hurt anybody, because it's what reflects to me the truth of my own voice. And so when I look at this, and I went on in January, and I started to get more and more the idea that who you guys were to me were the people I needed to speak to. Don't get me wrong. I love teaching people how to, you know, how to do cards. I love all that. And when I tell you, I am not making, like, I'm not making the kind of money I was making with that, you know. And my cards are still for sale. They do well on Amazon. Hold on. Thank you, God. And something has turned in me, which is that I think that all of what I share with you all, and when I talk about things and some of the me-isms that I do, these are things I learned from the Chakra Wisdom cards. I learned about the chakra. I learned that they're energy centers in all of us. We all have them, you know, and this idea that it's exclusive for some people, it's just not true. So what I want to say to all of you is that I just came on here and I just said, you know, I am going to have that same level of respect for you when you come to this channel that you would have when, you know, the people who pay me to train them have, right? Because you see, that's what matters. It's the voice we're sharing that matters. It's me saying to you, yeah, guys, I'm a card reader. You know what? If you want to get on and thump something and go, well, you know, you're going to be hated and damned, please don't do it here, because I'll tell you why. I have to come out and be me, just like you have to be you. But remember, where you put your soapbox is going to make a difference as to who's listening. If I took my soapbox and put it in the middle of a fundamentalist church, I'm an idiot, okay? If I take my soapbox and I put it right here on my channel with you, this is it. So what I want to say is, when you're looking for your voice, don't use it in a place where everybody's screaming at you. Your voice can only be found in a place that's nurturing and safe. And once you find that place, and by the way, there are dark hallways, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. I am not BSing you on this. There are dark hallways in life, and any adult can tell you that. Sometimes we go through dark periods. And when I say dark, sad, down, depressed, people are like, somebody said to me, I was really depressed a couple months ago, but I'd finished both my books, turned them in. Somebody said, why are you so depressed? I said, well, I don't know. I'm just depressed. They go, well, what do you need to do? I go, I need to eat ice cream and watch Columbo. And that's what I did. So, you know, I think the big thing is it's not so much what happens to us. It's who we become when these things happen. How are we going to become, and truth bombs, how are we going to become that next part, right? Is that, oh, you went after him. Let's see. Thank you, Spiritual Solstice. I appreciate it. Now, here's the thing I want to say, too, is that, you know, your voice matters, who you are matters, and you're only going to find it. You're only going to find it when you are being honest with yourself about where things are. Like, for example, and I'm going to give you this example, I may be just a touch agoraphobic. And for those of you that don't know what that means, it's like, I don't like to go out. And part of that is because I love my house, right? But I was doing a radio show one day and a woman called in, and yeah, great job. I just want to shout out to my mods. Like, you really nailed, thank you so, so much. I just want to say, Spiritual Solace, boom. She's like, pew, pew, pew. She's got like a ninja sword. Good job. Just like, whoa, proud of you. So what was I saying? Now I lost my thought. Hate that. Oh, well. I'm going to see who's over here, and then let's see. Hi. Summer Princess. Hi. AJ. Why, Aaliyah, thank you so much for the super chat. That's so kind. I just go look, and there you are. Very kind, and I really want to acknowledge you for you really support a lot of channels, and I want to say that to you and say thank you. Oh, about not going out. Thank you, Crystal. I knew I was onto something there. Okay, agoraphobia. Thank you. See? You don't even have to remember. You guys are brilliant. So, okay, so I was on the radio, and this woman calls up, and she says, so I have a really big problem. And this is when I was doing readings on the air and stuff. And I said, well, what's the problem? You know, I'm not a therapist, but I'll listen. And she said, well, I have agoraphobia. And I go, you do? She said, yeah. I said, well, can you tell me about it? And she was like, What do you mean? I go, well, wait a minute. How does it work? And she goes, well, I don't leave my house. I said, well, where do you live? She said, I'm in a high-rise apartment on, what did she say, Riverside Drive or Central Park? I forget which park she was, whether she was on the drive. I can't remember which side. I think she was near Central Park. And she said, I'm in a townhome, townhome that I own. I go, how do you live there? How do you support yourself? She was like, well, I'm kind of depressed about it. I said, no, I understand depression. Yeah. But tell me how you do this. And she was like, what do you mean? I go, well, okay. Let me back up. You don't go out. She said, no. I go, but yet you survive. She goes, yeah. I said, how do you make a living? She goes, well, I'm an artist and, I draw for different things. And I said, so people come and get your stuff? She said, yeah. I've advertised it online or through my agent. I go, how'd you get an agent? And she said, well, they came to my house. And I go, oh my gosh. I go, how do you get your groceries? And those days, it was like delivery right in New York. She said, oh, they get delivered. I go, and how do you go shopping? She said, well, I tell my assistant what size I am and pick things up. I go, you have an amazing life. What's wrong? She's like, but I don't go out. I go, who cares? I said, the Bronte sisters sat in their room their whole life and they wrote all these brilliant books. They never experienced anything. What's wrong with that? And she was like, there was this pause and she went, oh, well, I go, what is it you really want? Right? What do you really want? And she said, I'd like to go to one of my gallery openings. And I went, great. I said, so here's the thing. Give yourself permission to not go to any of it. You don't want to go to any of it, don't go. And I said, but I'm going to tell you something. You have created a life that works for you. And it may be morphed around your wounding, your fear of people. But I said, maybe, you'll go if you want to go. She was like, this is the first time I've ever heard that. She said, most therapists tell me. I go, well, I'm not a therapist. And she said, well, I know. And she said, are you going to do a reading for me? And I go, I just did. She goes, what do you mean? I go, I just told you you're fine. You don't need a reading. You're running your life fine. You don't need me. And she was like, oh. And my belief in spiritual work is that my job should be made obsolete. You all can do this yourself. These are tools that we use of like, you're fine as you are. She wasn't hurting anybody. And I said that to her and she was like, by the end of the call, what was interesting, I said, how you doing? She said, I feel strangely okay. And I said, yeah, you should. You've created an amazing life around, your fears. Yes. However, you're surviving and you're successful and you are doing well. And she said, yeah, you're making a good point. And I said, so here's the deal. When you want to, you will go to an opening. A couple months later, she called me back. She said, I want to tell you, I went to an opening. I was like, what? And she, Ken, I think I have the, I do this every time, you guys, I turn. It's a chick thing, right? I got the clicker for the fireplace, I don't have the mister's going to go get the wood. Because this, I'm not getting the wood, okay? I'm not going outside and getting wood and putting in the fireplace. Not for me. But those dogs are baking. But the point I'm making is that you're fine as you are. And, that's what I love about the journey I've been on with the Chakra Wisdom Oracle cards is that I discovered that every single answer is inside of us. And God is or God isn't. And if you don't believe, you don't believe. And if you do believe, I just think it's a little bit more magical for me. That's all. People who are anti-cards or whatever and who use Bible verses and stuff to quote to me why I'm bad. One of the things I wonder about is, do you really think that that's what this spirituality is about? That we're here to shame each other into some kind of strange life? See, I think that we're here to be uplifting to each other. And that's why I have, well, somebody's opening the door downstairs. But that's why I am the way I am. I really believe that we all have our stuff, you know, and my friends are like, gosh, Tori, you don't go anywhere. I go places. I'm going to New York for a week. I'm going to go to London for almost 2 or 3 weeks. I'm going to be in LA twice. And what was funny about that is I traveled last year with a good friend of mine, and she was like, because she knows me from here, and she said, Tori, you're scaring me. I said, what do you mean? I've never seen you like this. I'm up at 7 a.m. I'm out the door. I'm running around. I got appointments. I got meetings. She said, you're so funny in other places. And I said, yeah, but when I come home, I just want to retreat, you know? So what I wanted to say to all of you tonight is I wanted to share, if you're joining me now, you kind of, you know, just a little bit of what I shared. You definitely want to go back and get the full story. But, you know, none of what's worth getting is easy. Because you see, I had a client who's a friend actually, and she was like, I'm just afraid of, you know, going to art school. It's going to be so much work. It's going to be so much work if I go to art school. She was very talented, and then it's going to be like 4 years of work, and then I have to try and find a job. So she got a job in retail, and I said, you know, I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to tell you now, and you're not going to want to hear it, but I'll tell you, there's going to come a day when you come home and you say to me, life's a bitch because today was tough at work. And you know what? It is tough, but here's the deal. If you're doing your calling, you will make it through to the next day. And part of finding our calling is finding our true voice. And even if you think, right, even if I lose people watching me because I've come out and said, yeah, you know, I read cards, that doesn't mean I follow the devil. But it does mean that I'm a human being with my own flaws, and I'm believing in the best of all of you. And I think for me, that's what the gathering of church is supposed to be. It's coming together for a higher purpose. And I think that's what we're doing. So when I say this to you, it really is about guiding each other. So I'm just going to check in on the chat. Red like wine. Let's see. I caught you here. For 20 years of my life, I was never home between work and graduate school. I never got to just chill out. I know when we get older, it's like, I just want to be home. What did Jessica ask? Let me see, Jessica. Looks like Jessica asked a question. I missed it. Let's see. I'm just looking back. Okay. Jessica Roper said, when ordering, what should we order first? The complete spiritual toolkit. All right. So, hey, Kendra, just want to say, I'll tell you about that in a second. I just want to say hi to some people and kind of, you know, jump over here because I wasn't really looking. Oh, Tim, good to see you, babe. Glad to see you're up and about. And let's see. That's it. I never really go anywhere, but I'm happy and content at home. When we want to go out, we do. And, you know, it's funny. I have a friend, and she probably is going to just brain me for saying this, but, you know, she's got a lot of physical issues. She's always, as far as I've known her, she's had health issues, and she's been in and out of the hospital, and she lives in London. And so she's she's just goes to the doctor and comes home, and it's been a long journey for her. And we've been talking, we've gotten closer in the last few weeks. And I said to her, you know, when I come over, we're going to the theater. And she was like, it was like her whole energy changed. And I went, I love the theater. We're going to the theater. And she was like, I love the theater. Do you like musicals or plays? I go, I like anything but the Weir. She's like, the Weir? I go, that was that, sorry for those who are Irish, that was that Irish play where I sat through it for 2 hours and I had no idea what they said. And they were speaking in English, but I couldn't understand because they were talking in a and I was going, oh, I didn't know anything they said. So that's the only one I don't want to see unless you want to translate. And she started laughing. She goes, no. She said, and I go, I'll go down to the ticket booth. I love to walk down the theater district in London and see what's on for the night. And she was like, oh, that sounds so exciting. And I have to tell you, within 10 minutes of talking about theater with her, her whole demeanor lifted. And, you know, that's because she had something to look forward to. You know, the thing is that when we put something out there that we have to work for, we are going to have tough times. And I want to tell you, my friend, it took her about 2 years, my art school friend, it took her about 2 years to figure out, because she would say to me, oh, you know, I hate retail. I go, you know what? This is the 5th time you've said it. It was like somewhere about 9 months in. I go, and you know, I will listen. She's like, uh-oh. Because whenever I say this to my friends, when I go, you know, I love you. They go, oh no, here we go. So I said, you know, I love you and I'm going to listen. However, it is going to be difficult every day of your life until you're doing what you love to do. Go to art school and suffer through art school, because the highs are going to be higher than you've ever experienced, and the lows, you're going to feel like you can't get up in the morning. But when you get up the next morning and you recognize that you're going to art school and you get to go draw again, and that drawing you did yesterday, it's okay, but you can do better, truth bumps, then it gets more exciting. And she went, gosh, you make it sound exciting. I go, it is. We either soar because someone we love lived, or we die because they died. And for me, it's always been my father. And in this last year, it's been my dog, Frank. I miss Frank so much. He died in October of 2018, and I was just dashed. And then I've got Owen and Gavin, and they're great. Back to the question. See, I didn't forget. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell you okay, so the toolkit, the Chakra Wisdom Oracle toolkit, this is actually the original fables, and there's no cards with it. It's a standalone. These are the original fables, and I'm actually doing each week on YouTube. You'll see it posted every week a little bit, you know, and there's like a couple hundred people in it. But there's also something to do each day of the week. Like Tuesday is the color, color reflection. Wednesday's journal journey. Thursday was the one we would meet on either Thursday or Sunday in the Mastermind group, and we would go over either solo activity or a group activity, and it was really, really fun. So this toolkit has all the fables in it, and you'll get to go through a full year with it. Now, once you kind of know the fables, the cards are going to start coming like this. They're going to just start making sense to you. And the chakra in and of itself, I have another book coming out in November, which is the Chakra, Beginner Chakra. And that book is, I have to tell you, it's really tight. I'm really kind of pleased with the way it turned out. Anyway, the next thing, if you're interested in card reading, then the deck is great. Now, I love playing with cards, so you're always going to see me get the card deck. That's my first thing, right? And once I did these two, once they both came out, I then talked about this for 2 years, how to read the cards for yourself and others. And what happened was all of the teachings, these are very advanced teachings, by the way. All of the teachings in this book, which go extremely deep, some people are like, oh no, that book is just, forget it. Because they can't go that deep. And that's okay. Some people can. It's not a big deal. But what I recognize from this is a lot of what I say to you every day. And when I talk about things, somebody asked about empaths, Ainsley. Yes, I will. I'll talk about that. When I talk about things every day, like I talk about neutral observer, and I talk about the difference between your brain and your intuition, and how to know the difference. All of that is in here. And what I kind of wish is that this was just a book about that, and if you take away the how to read the cards, it's kind of like, it's the tools that matter, not the cards that matter. So it's really interesting. When you master these tools in your life, life just gets easier to kind of navigate. And that's the idea. And I'm not saying some people don't have that skill. That's not what I'm saying at all. Okay, so let me, thank you, Original Chloe. You're a sweet pea. She said, like and subscribe. Please give a thumbs up if you're enjoying this video. That does help us. And my Patreon, which I'm trying this Saturday. I don't know if it's going to work because we're I'm going to be doing a private YouTube for my Patreon people, which will be me reading the cards for them. So I'll have people, only the people who come to it. So they'll be asking me a question, and then I'll pull a card and tell them what I see. So I'm going to be kind of demonstrating how the cards work on for my Patreon folks. And part of that is because one of the things that I want to do is I want to make that a safe environment when I talk about cards, so that it won't be bombed by people who are against or don't believe or whatever. It'll just be in a place where people who dig it will be. So again, that's this Saturday on my Patreon page, and I'll probably be doing that at least once a month for everybody, just because it's kind of a private little thing. So there you have it. Thank you. Is that you, Duty Ron? Did I just miss something? It sure looks like you. Aw. He's the best. He's like the best human being. Like, I am not kidding. Okay, let's talk about empaths. And another thing I want to mention is that, thank you, Duty Ron. You know, another thing I want to mention is that it's interesting about cops. I have never met an officer, a detective, an FBI agent, ATF, any of those people that I've met who don't have heavy intuition. Now, they have learned to focus it in a particular way, but they're hearing things and listening for things that you and I wouldn't normally listen or hear. So an empath, has gotten bantered about a little bit in terms of like people who know what a narcissist is and people who know what an empath is. They find each other, etc. I talked a little bit today. The video I did today is about really understanding what to look for when crazy walks in the door. All right. So, and I made some interesting points. That's actually the video that will be up tomorrow. That's the one on Patrick Frazee. Now, it's not, I want to, for those of you just joining me too, it's not that I'm done with the Watts case. I'm done with Chris Watts. I'm in a different place with it right now, in the sense that, as I mentioned at the beginning, when someone dies, you either crumple because you've lost them, or you live well because they existed at one time. And I'm feeling that way around Shanann right now. And I'm really getting excited about my trip to London. I'm going to be up in Birmingham also for one evening. So, and by the way, all of this will be on my website. It is going to be on my event page. I think there's an events page on my website right now. And Elizabeth is starting to put all that up because it's going to be for the new deck and stuff like that. So the difference with an empath is that an empath senses something. We sense something. And by the way, I want to tell you, y'all are all empaths. And I'm going to say this too, when I talked about this the other day, we're all on the spectrum, guys. Nobody gets away scot-free in this life. Everybody's a little nutty. Everybody's at one time or another more narcissistic than the other. The crazy killers, that's different. But we all have these qualities in us. We're not, you know, we all have a little bit of that, you know, stare into space thing. I mean, we're all like, you know, I was just saying to Lara, she's my friend who did the face reading with me. She said, maybe we should just put on tinfoil hats and then everybody would believe us. I know. Some of the things people had commented on about that. So we'll just see. Let's see. What did Jamie ask? I'm going back. Yeah, Jamie Martinez, I'm done with CW. I think that, I think, Jamie, and I think this is a great point. You know, I think what it is that at a certain point, we all recognize that it just doesn't, it starts to become, and this is what I want to say to all of you, it becomes a fear-based conversation rather than really having my own voice. In other words, yes, I hit the ground running with Chris Watts. I mean, really, all of a sudden people were watching my channel, right? And all of a sudden this channel blows up just a little bit. I mean, it's not the biggest channel ever. But one of the things I'm noticing is that there can be a tendency to keep having to talk about Chris Watts because, hey, that's how I get viewers, right? So I'm going to just do that. Well, and I don't have anything against people that are into it. Don't get me wrong. I want to do something because it feels right to me and it's the truth of my voice, not because I'm trying to snow you into watching something I have to say. Because believe me, there are a lot better things we could all be doing. Well, maybe you can. This is, I love talking to you guys. So there we go. Let's see. Hi, December baby. Let's see. Hey, baby Z's. Good to see you. I just want to say hi to a couple people. Red Like Wine. Shanann was so inspiring. Sorry I didn't know her when she was alive. Yeah, I think we've embodied her. And I think that's what's happening a lot is we're really kind of getting that, you know, Lori Van Den Belt, sorry. Thank you for your voice. Thank you. Why did Original Choice message that? Original Chloe, why did you delete that? Hold on. Who? Okay. Original Chloe, you just deleted somebody. Girl, go back in and undelete. Let me do it. Hold on. I can't put it back in. I can try to add them as a moderator. No, it won't work. Okay. What happened there? Hold on 1 second. Okay. All right, good. Try to go back in, Chloe, and reverse it. See if you can go back in and reverse them. Because they actually, that was a super chat. So if you could do that, that'd be great. Oh, good. Kim Smith just said, my husband made it home safely. Angelina ATF, what about collaborating with Zoe? Okay, live abuse free. We talked last night. We actually messaged back and forth. We're going to talk next week. And I think she is, where she's at right now is that she wants to kind of see what we could talk about together. And I'm totally fine with that because she really wants to keep things on her side, focus on what she's doing. And I want to focus on what I'm doing. But we also, I would love to work with her. So that's super important. All right. Yeah, Chloe, were you able to get her back? Let's see. I just want to, sorry about that. I don't know who that is. I don't know how to do it. All right. So anyway, let's move on. But I want to say thank you to who that was. All right. Let's see. Stacy said, I would love more digging into Cindy and Ronnie. They didn't seem concerned about their granddaughters, more concerned about their love for Chris. I think, let's see. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk about Kendra's question too, because she works with sick people, and we're going to talk about, I'll mention Cindy and Ronnie very briefly. Somebody messaged me and said about Cindy and Ronnie, they said, you know, I don't think it's fair for you to read Cindy when she's not in the room. And the way I feel about it is that I tend to agree when it's most people. Like I wouldn't, for example, if Jamie Martinez, right, you're on the feed, if she messaged me and said, hey, okay, if Jamie messaged me and said, hey, you know what, Tori, I want you to read about my boyfriend. Well, I can't, or my husband or whatever. I would say, sorry, you know, I can't because he's not in the room. It's not fair. Hold on 1 second. Jody Z, yay, yeah, order the book. Great, awesome. Thank you. That really helps, by the way, and thanks for the super chat. So what I want to say about that is that I feel that Cindy Watts and Ronnie Watts are more, at this point, I consider them more public figure. And I find that it's more educational when I'm looking at cards and going intuitively at what's going on. Because one of the things that I was thinking when I was looking at Cindy earlier is that there is so much sadness around that woman. And I feel that there's so much sadness and fear around her that I think it's really easy to kind of be angry at the response that she had. And honestly, I thought it was an inappropriate response when she forgave him when she was really supposed to be doing a victim impact statement about her grandchildren. I do feel that was bad timing. But when I look at Cindy, I see a lack of compassion. I see an inability for her to, and I pulled the wisdom card reversed. That's why I'm kind of going into that. I see that it's an inability to connect her feelings appropriately. It's kind of like, I don't know about you, but when they started making these, and where the heck is it? Okay, y'all were probably no, that's not. Oh, here we go. When they started making plugs, like not 3-prong, but they started making one that was bigger than the other. So this was big, and I was trying to figure it out in the wall. This is years and years and years and years ago. I was like younger, much younger, and I couldn't figure it out. And then my dad explained it to me. Well, they made one bigger than the other. And I went, oh, okay. When I say that, plugging in for some people is very challenging. And for whatever reason, we shut down. I'm not excusing any behavior, but I am saying that I feel a lot of terror from them. You know, I just feel a huge amount of terror. Thank you, Lori. Yes, 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 yes. I too send them some light. And yes, Sky said generational abuse. Yes, that's the book I'm working on. As soon as I can get this, can finish up some. I've got articles that I'm working on for some stuff. And if there's anybody in London, this would be so much fun to see some of you guys. I'm going to be speaking in New York as well. I'll be in New York. Actually, it's too late for my Brit folks. They're probably all in bed. But I'm going to be speaking in New York as well. I'll be at the, I just found out, I didn't know. Gosh, now my brain went, it'll take me a second. I'm going to see what's going on. Oh, Lauren, you're in New York City. Yeah, I'll be, and I'm going to talk about that. Hold on. About generational abuse. Yeah, see, one of the things that Ainsley M., thank you so much for the super chat. That is so amazing. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And what happens too, a lot of times I don't see them because I'm like scrolling down. I'm scrolling up just to see. December baby, what will you be speaking on? I'm going to be talking about, where is it? I feel like, come over here, card deck. I don't know where it went. The thing for the thing. Oh, well, I'm going to be speaking about what I did with the Chakra Wisdom Tarot is in the Major Arcana. There is, if for those of you that know a little bit about the tarot, you've heard of the, it's the majors, which is the Fool's Journey, and then the minors, which is actually just like a regular playing card deck. The only difference is that in a regular playing card deck, they pulled the page out. So you'll see the ace through 10 and then Jack, Queen, King. In a tarot deck, you have page, Jack, Queen, King. And the page is the spiritual messenger. So interestingly, they pulled that out of our 52 card deck. So what we're looking at now is that, and then what I figured out one night is there was a rhythm to all of this. There's a very powerful rhythm. And I think that one of the things that happens when we get into an energetic rhythm is we start to see our journey. So what I did with the Fool's Journey was I put her in every single card. So we watch her go to her mentors. We watch her learn what she needs to learn. And how many of us feel like I know it's true for me. Like, I feel like that, whatever that is, do you feel like there's one thing missing from your life? And if you knew what it was, everything would be perfect? Have you ever felt that way? That is exactly what this is about. It's about understanding that whether or not we're aware of it, we actually have everything we need. We just may not be pulling those cards out of our internal deck. So I'll be speaking about my new chakra, my new tarot deck, which really uses the Fool's Journey a great deal. I'll be talking about that as finding out the idea of what we skip in life is what stops us. So when I was able to say, as I was sharing a little bit earlier to the gal who had agoraphobia, when I was able to say to her, well, stay home. And she was like, everybody's trying to tell me to go out. You're the only person who's telling me to stay home. I go, well, you got it made, man. You're like living in a freaking, Park Avenue, like little mansion in New York. What do you need? Like, don't go out. It's probably cold out there, And it's really funny because it's like she later said, the permission you gave me. And I want you all to know right now, I know this is going to sound odd, but I just want to give you all permission. Just you have permission. You have permission from spirit. You have permission from yourself. You have permission from each other. Just do what you can do. Put out your voice. It matters. Something you say could change someone's life tomorrow. Don't ever forget that. No matter how down you get, there's somebody who's worse off than you who needs to hear from you. Catherine, I always I think I'm so cool, right? The glasses are coming off, right? Okay, and I can't see anything without them. All right, let's see. Is your new deck available yet? You can pre-order it on Amazon, and it will be, when I'm in New York, it'll be for sale at the Reader's Studio. That's what it's called, Reader's Studio. It's on, it's right near LaGuardia. It's going to be at the Marriott at LaGuardia, and I'm hoping I can get into the city a bit, so... I'm confused. You're writing a book on? No, that's that multi-generational healing is another book I'm working on, and that's something I've been teaching for a long time. So I just finished that class, Caroline. Sorry, I just finished teaching that class, and now I'm going into taking that material and putting it together. Of like, what is it? How to look at it? How to energetically connect, and how all of that comes together. So I think, and Jessica Salas, thank you so much. And by the way, thank you for your service to everybody on this channel, Jess, because you always show up and you do this. And I know I shouted out to other people, but she said, you never know someone's pain, and a smile, a hello will go a long way. And I've got to tell you something else. You do not know what some of the creators on this channel go through. Not my channel, but excuse me, all of YouTube. And I've had a chance to talk to some people, and I've got to tell you, sometimes it's hell. Sometimes people are so freaking hateful. You kind of want to go, and it literally is like sucker punch, And it's like, why? Why did you get up in the morning and decide that you were going to be mean to somebody? And you know why you did that? Because you haven't learned that nice is better. Because we live in a time when being snarky is cool. And you know what? Snark ain't cool. It just ain't cool. So there you have it. Black Rose 11. 11's a cool. Okay. Frankendahl, great. Yeah. I think that Reader's Studio, I'm not sure where else I'll be in the city. I'm not sure what else I'm going to be doing. I'm waiting to hear from my publisher, the PR person there, but I'll know, and then I'll kind of have a better idea. But I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of stuff in London, so it's a great excuse. Come to London. What the heck, right? Let's see. The bullying amongst kids is scary. I couldn't do Hot Pink Jalapenos. I couldn't do a YouTube channel. I think, and Nancy B, thank you, Nancy B 4623. It's amazing when you forgive yourself. Thank you. That's the key. And that's the thing. We are Red Wine. I want to say we are all fighting some battle. And the thing is, we don't want to be the reason someone gave up. And, you know, I have to go back and look at my own comments sometimes and say, pull it back, Tori. Because I want to remind you, I'm a human being. I am not going to do this perfectly. And that's the key to this. I am not going to do it perfectly. I'm going to do it so imperfectly that it scares even me. So I'm going to jump on. I see some long stuff. Let's see. Hey, Tori, can you talk about Shanann's fake friends who go on to her YouTube channel podcast and talk behind... Kiwana, you know what? I don't know about that. So I can't, hi, Original Chloe. Thank you for being here. I do appreciate it. Let's see. Cruise Boston! Woo! She's at the airport. Duty Ron is in the house, everybody. Duty Ron, D-U-T-Y-R-O-N. Go over to his channel. He is fantastic. Retired New York detective. Fantastic, fantastic guy. He's just so down to earth. I really enjoy his jam. He has got it going on. So go over there, definitely. And he is following a very interesting case that I want to hear more about. So Duty Ron, will you let me know when can you post when you're going to be doing updates on Karina Ventrano, because I've been telling so many people, a lot of people here know I've been sending them over because I love hearing different points of view. I think that obviously I have one voice, but you all looking at this, you can see that I'm different than Duty Ron. I'm different than Live Abuse Free. We're all different. When I say that to you, sometimes in this world of creators, you can get very scared and go, oh, I'm not good enough. But one thing I want to tell you is we will all hold that space for your voice until you feel courageous to step out in it. And I think people criticize and bully because they're not taught how to express themselves properly. And I talked about that in the Phrasey video that's coming, that I did today, that'll be out tomorrow. Alana, thank you so much. Yes, it really does help the creators if you jump on and give a thumbs up. It actually is really great for the YouTube rankings. So if you could help us with that, that's great. And I've been doing lives so last minute. And the reason I'm doing that is because apparently the trolls are still sleeping for a while. We don't get as many. My assistant was like, you know, you haven't had many trolls. I go, shh. So that's kind of the running joke around here. We go, shh, shh, shh. And it really is because a lot of them I do last minute. And that's why if you hit the bell, you subscribe and hit the bell, the little bell on top, you'll be notified the minute I'm on. And you might be like, hey, she's on. Let's go jam. All right. Colby. Wait, let's see. Wait a second. Somebody said at Colby Michelle. Oh, Colby Michelle. Hearing about the little boy named Seven who killed himself from being bullied because he had an ileostomy. I don't know what that is. An ileostomy. Okay. It broke my heart. I lived with an. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, is it? I don't know what it is. I'll have to look it up. Lourdes, of course you have a beauty channel. You're gorgeous. Lourdes Ramirez. She's gorgeous, gorgeous. You know, and that's something I want to say. It is scary. You know, when I came out, Lourdes, and I started talking about, and I'll talk about bullying. I haven't forgotten Seven. Lourdes, when I started saying, you know, when I came out with my earlier, what was the thing I did? Oh, the chart. I kind of looked at Chris Watts' chart. Astrology chart. And here's the thing I do with astrology. When I'm looking at what someone has done, I will take their sun sign and put their sun sign on the ascendant. Like even with Ted Bundy, I did that when I was looking at his chart. Even though that may not have been his natal, I always look at it that way. I put the moon, what their moon sign is. So let's say you're I'm a Sagittarius moon, what is it? Capricorn. So I might take that moon and put it on the ascendant. Even the ascendant is your rising sign, guys. That's what it is. It's the sign that was rising at the time of your birth. So what I mean in English is that I might take the moon sign and put it on the ascendant to see where someone is in the love cycle of their life. There's a lot of interesting things I enjoy about astrology. I do not consider myself as an expert in knowing every nook and cranny of it. But what I do is I do interpretive astrology, which is very intuitive, a way of playing with it. Now, I love that work, and my assistant Elizabeth was like, you should do readings like that. So she's putting something together. I love her. She's great. You can't have her. Okay. Anyway, she's amazing. Let's see. Yeah, I want to talk for a minute about, let's see, loving vapes. I've had such tough health concerns over the past 3 years due to cancer. I feel like disappearing, but what you said just gave me truth bumps and spiritual awakening. Oh, loving vape 70, right on. Because I'm going to tell you, there's a saying in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I read it cover to cover. I think that is an amazing book. That says no matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will come to see how our experience can help others. So remember that no matter how down you are, you have a purpose. There's someone you can help that needs to hear what you have to say. And I have to tell you, if it hadn't been for people who went before me and who said to me, you know, I remember going, I don't know what to do with this fear I have. I had such a fear of flying, you guys. I would get on a plane, and I'm not kidding. I would start sweating so bad. People would look at me like I was like a bad joke. I was like taking a shower, right? And I went to see doctors and everybody. And finally, I went to, I had to go to a, one day at a time. Thank you, babe, Claire. I went to a friend of mine. I said, listen, go to the psychic. She'll help you. I was like, a psychic? Okay, I'll go to a psychic. And I walked in, I sat down, she looks at me and she says, well, you already have this gift. I said, what are you talking about? You know? And she said, well, you're psychic, you're intuitive, you could do this. This is what you do. I said, well, I've done it since I was a kid, but it's second nature to me. It's kind of like speaking a second language. And by the way, astrology, numerology, all of that stuff are languages you learn. So, you know, people say, I don't believe, but beliefs are fear-based. They mean you have to push it away. You either know something works or it doesn't. So you can say, you know what? That doesn't work with me. That's cool. But it doesn't mean that necessarily it requires a belief. I'm sitting there with the psychic, and she looks at me and she said, I want you to do this meditation every time you get on a plane. I want you to bring white light down from the heavens. I want you to bring it around the plane. I want you to see this light coming through the plane, and I want you to watch a very peaceful takeoff and landing, and I want you to do this every time you fly. And I said, okay. I never got afraid again. It was the strangest thing. It was like it was taken from me. So the reason I'm saying this to you is that's where I got caught up in, wow, maybe there is something to this mind-body thing. Okay, I want to talk about 7 and the little boy who killed himself, bullying. Kelly, right on, 3 years. Woo! Loving it. Yes, Kawanda SV, she said, meditation is good for your health. It really is. I'm going to go look. We got to all go look at Lourdes. I mean, she's gorgeous, right? And she's like, I'm looking at her going, well, you know. All right, without experiencing different things in our lives, we'll never know how it feels. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So this little boy, what I want to say about this is this reminds us of how little we are when we become aware of other people and what they think of us. And we spend the first 5 years discovering who we are and feeling out intuitively what's going on in our environment. We spend the second 5 years figuring out what others think of us, right? School and all that. And then we spend the rest of our lives trying to undo all the crap that happened in those first 10 years. And if we survive our childhood, okay, if we survive it, some people still don't survive. Look at Travis Alexander. He went through, and my first video about him, people were like, you're blaming the victim. I'm like, no, I'm just saying his mother was a crazy meth addict. So he, of course, found somebody who was cray-cray. So kind of like, you know, why is that? I'm sorry, guys. You know what? I was talking to a friend of mine who's also a psychic, thank goodness. And I said, all I'm doing is scratching my nose lately. And she said, oh, it has, Lara, she said it has something to do with your brain, and something's operating in your brain where it makes your nose itchy. I go, okay, maybe it is itchy. I don't know. Maybe it's just dry, but okay. So when people bullies, okay. bullies are all about power and control, because we know they're powerless. But let's go deeper than that. Let's look at that bully as someone who is, I don't know if you ever saw there was a cartoon when I was a kid, and it was one of my favorite. It was Bugs Bunny and the monster, and Bugs is fixing the monster's hair. You know, he's like, you've got, all monsters have the part in the middle, and you've got to look like this. And you see him combing the monster's hair, and it's this big orange monster, and it's so cute. And what happens toward the end of it, right, is that all of a sudden you're recognizing that the monster, something happens and he gets small. And so what I want to say to you is that when someone feels completely disempowered, they're going to steal power. What does stealing power look like? It looks like murder. It looks like robbery. It looks like destroying anybody in their path, because you see, it goes back to the idea of like the fuel it needs in order to build itself up. So there are a lot of things when kids are bullying at that level. You know, I have to tell you, I do think that, and I've seen this so much, guys, like where I look at and I see women on their phones and their kids right there. And I think to myself, you've got to put these phones down. You've got to pay attention to these children. This is not good what's happening. They're like this all day. I got to tell you, I'm a horrible texter. Sorry, Judy Ron, I owe you a text. I'm a horrible texter because I go, oh yeah, I've got a text, and I speak my texts. And so it often comes out of like, I'm going to meet you at the yard and I'll be sitting on the tree. And people are like, what on earth is that? And it's like my phone still doesn't know how I speak. And I think it is kind of, we can learn from others' mistakes, but I also think we have to make our own. I think if we don't fall down, we're never going to know what it looks like to stand up tall. You know, I think we have to know what it is like, you know, to really feel failure in order to feel success. Because let me tell you something, you can't feel successful if you haven't experienced failure. Have you thought about that? Everybody wants to be successful. But at the end of the day, if they haven't felt failure, they'll never know it. That's why people who become successful and haven't experienced failure, they destroy themselves so they can rebuild. Because you've got to have South Pole and North Pole. Somebody said, do you believe in karma? Hell yeah. That's why I try to behave as much as possible. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think the thing is that, let's see. Okay. Yay. Judy Ron's in the house, everybody, and he, I made him one of my mods, but he has a fantastic channel. Please go over to his channel and like and subscribe to him. You're going to be blown away. He is a retired New York City police officer and New York's finest, and absolutely they are the finest. And so jump over there and definitely take a look at him. AJ, what's going on, baby doll? I missed her little post there, I guess. You're going to be in our hearts. Paula, of course we love Duty Ron. He's fantastic. Okay, so now like it's almost like I want to click off and go look at the makeup stuff because I'm so into. All right, let's see. I think I do need a humidifier. It's really dry here. Thank you for saying that. Deco Painter and Tea. Painter and Tea. I can do that. Okay. All right, let's see. Yeah, please subscribe, everybody. It really is a great way to get information. Also, just so you know, on Saturday at 10 a.m., for those of you who are in my Patreon, and it's patreon.com/my name, Tori Hartman. And if you're in Patreon, I'm going to be doing live closed readings. I'm going to be using my cards to do mini readings for people in the Patreon group because I think they'll kind of dig it. It's kind of a fun thing, and you'll get a chance to see what that experience is like when we work with chakra, we're going inside. So it's about tapping into your power, if you will, and your own energy. It's really great stuff. Cheryl Ramsey, that's why we love you. Yeah. let's see. Yeah, Lourdes, you just got a subscriber. Lourdes Ramirez, everybody. Go subscribe to her channel. She's fantastic. She's absolutely gorgeous. Like, what is this? Okay. Regina Smith. I love the blue hearts. Fantastic. AJ, baby. Let's see. Tim, thank you. If I'm being honest, I'm not in a good place in life, and I'm lashing out at people I love for reasons. Tori, speaking of, I needed to be here, and now I need to own it. And okay, so AJ, baby just said that, and I want to just say, you know, the thing that happens when I know for me, when I'm in that level of frustration and upset, the thing that first of all, I already told you my solution. It's like eat chocolate and watch Columbo. I mean, that's, you know, that's it. But, or watch true crime, which is fantastic. But the other thing is that reaching out to someone else, I have found, and listening to their stuff can really help me get off my own thing. And sometimes just calling a friend and going, can you listen for a few minutes? I need to vent. And, you know, I just need to rant. Okay, you know, and I just want to say it's okay to not be in a great place. And the thing I want to tell everybody is something a friend of mine told me years ago when I was very, very down and, you know, talking about suicide stuff. And she said, just remember, you know, it was weeks later, she said, if you had killed yourself, you would have been killing the wrong person. Because who you are in a moment of upset is not who you're going to be in a moment of joy. And just remember, this too shall pass. And we are all in this boat together. Nobody's alone in this. Everybody is together. And I think this is the thing we've forgotten is that, you know, when people jump on and they say something snarky to someone, it's kind of like, you know, that could push that person over the edge. Let's go back to the post about that little boy, 7. How crazy is that? You know, he killed himself? How can a 7-year-old even figure it out? I mean, really? Well, don't answer that. I don't want to know. But I don't think it's so much suicide prevention, but it's life inspiring. In other words, we want to look at what will inspire someone to live, not just prevent them from suicide. Because I think when we look at that, we're kind of like looking at it like, it's kind of like domestic violence, right? What would domestic harmony look like? And, you know, I see people and I'm like, God, they're happy. You know, that's cool. And, you know, I think I want to just take from Duty Ron because he said something great the other day on his feed. And I know it was your anniversary recently, so congratulations. He said, you know, yeah, but it's never easy. You know, and that's the thing about life. Any relationship worth having is worth, in a sense, fighting for, not at each other, but fighting for the relationship. And, you know, that I think anything we want is not going to be easy. But here's the thing. You know, my goal a few years ago was to become a best-selling author. And I thought, well, when I get that, I'll feel good. And I got it. And I recognized that the best thing, David Lynch said this to me once. That's right, the director. He was in my backyard, and I remember saying to him, what's the best thing about movie making? And he said, when you make a hit, you get to do another one. I was like, oh. So that's why we do it good. We do it as best we can. Because you know what's really funny? What you think is crap may be better than you can even imagine. Because I'm going to remind you all of something. When you sincerely put your heart into something, it's probably quite excellent. But what we do is we backpedal. No backpedaling. No backpedaling, it's front pedaling. We're going to go forward. So I also I hope that, Judy Ron, are you going to go live tonight? Because I want to hear about the Karina Ventrano, you know, I want to hear about that case if you're on here. I don't know if he is because, let's see. Okay, let's see. Allison said, I meant to do Patreon. Is it something to subscribe to? Sorry, I'm new. Yes, okay. Or watch Tori and Duty Ron. Yes, I'm going to, if Duty Ron's going to go live in a few, I want to jump off because I want to go watch him, but, which I will in a minute. Okay, so let me just explain what Patreon is. Patreon is it's kind of a way to like a patron of the arts, right? It's a way to support creators in doing what they do. Now, what I did was I just started it as a $5 a month thing, just so people can like support Gavin and his greenies, because he loves greenies. So in fact, the minute I say it, he usually comes running. I'm surprised. Oh, he's baking in front of the fire. So Gavin, you want to say thank you for greenies? Come here. I don't know where he is. Oh, he's sound asleep in front of the fire. Oh, we're not moving him. All right. So anyway, what I want to say about Patreon. So you go on and you pledge, and it's like you can do $5 a month. You can even do $1 a month. The idea is that you're supporting someone whose work you like, and it gives the creator, if you will, of that channel an opportunity to spend more time on it because they're making more money from it. Now, I'm just doing $5 a month, so I'm not making a killing on it, but I'm starting on $5, and then I may do like a 10 or a 50, like an inner circle, so people can get more direct work with me or something like that. So I'm just still, I've got this one book coming out in 6 weeks, so I'm a little busy with that, but there you go, you know. And also, super chats are great, which is, I feel like animals are great. Animals. Okay. Jenica. Oh, what a great name. Jenica Mendoza. Thank you so much for the super chat. And let me see. All right. So I am going to just say that one of the greatest things we can do is think about saying nice things to people. You know, what has someone done right? You know, the more, there's a great story, and I'm going to, everybody want their bedtime story? Tori's going to tell a story. And it's a story also I think you all will dig. All right, so bedtime time, story time. Okay. So years ago, and this is kind of like a urban legend story, but years ago, a very famous football player was touring a jail. I want to say prison. And he was with the warden, and the warden was showing him around. And behind him in shackles was a prisoner on death row. And they were leading him somewhere. And as this legend goes, the famous football player turned to the warden and said, "I am so glad I became exactly what my dad said I was going to become. I became a star football player." And the guy behind him yelled out, "Yeah? Well, I became exactly what my dad said I was going to be, which is a no-good bum who goes around killing people and probably spends the rest of my life in prison." So when you hold someone in high self-esteem, let them surprise you. And as General Patton said, I love Patton, never, ever tell someone how to do something. Tell them what you want to get done and let them surprise you with their ingenuity. And I want to say thank you so much, Kendra, for the shout out tonight. God bless everybody. Tomorrow is going to be the Patrick Frazee. Saturday is my Patreon. If you join now, you can jump in on Saturday morning. And it's going to be a private feed just doing card reading. I am hoping, if I'm right, let's go over to Duty Ron. I'm trying to get him to do his live. Let's go over to Duty Ron. I want to hear some updates on the Karina Ventrano case. I'm going to send all of you much love. AJ, we're sending you all lots of peace and love. And may just all of you have a phenomenal, phenomenal day tomorrow and in the days to come. And remember, say what you mean what you say, but don't say it mean, and be nice to each other. It matters. You matter. Matter to me. Have a great night.